Howdy mates, good noontime. This is my part 3 video for Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. I have made my way to a well-known National Scenic River by the name of Buffalo River. So this is the most common, or more commonly known, river in the Ozarks that runs through Arkansas. So with that being said, the Buffalo River, I believe, eventually forms a confluence with the Arkansas River. But like I said, this is more of a designated scenic river. So what that means is pretty much the only form of watercraft that can come through here are kayaks or canoes, and that's it. No more, no less. With that being said too, where we're particularly at is a spot called Horseshoe Bend. So it literally, well, it's in the name. So we're at a point where the river does like a curve that resembles looking at a horseshoe. Makes sense, right? Because that's another common feature of natural rivers, is they always have a tendency to form meanders. So because streams always like to look for the path of least resistance. So that's why, as you can see, it kind of curves around and then it makes its way towards the south again. But of course, since I really haven't had the opportunity to mention it in a while, what you'll commonly see in a river, it follows a specific pattern. So like what you're seeing right here are your riffles, right? So that means it's relatively shallow. And of course there are barriers, especially rocks most of the time. So since it's shallow and there are barriers in the way, the water has a tendency to rise up quite rapidly. So that's why you're seeing some of that white water. So then once it passes that point of the riffles, that's where it enters into the run. So the run basically means, you know, there's a higher discharge temporarily. Just because it was shallow, so it has a chance to accelerate. But as you go further out, so once it passes that run, and then the river bed starts to get a bit deeper, that's where it will then enter into a pool, which the water is then flowing a little slower, but not much. It's still a steady flow, just not as quick as it was during the run. But I heard that there was a recent report that the river right now is averaging around 25 cubic feet per second. So that's actually a very ideal paddle. But actually just a couple of days ago, it was actually up to 230 cubic feet per second. And that is something you totally want to avoid, because at that point the river is moving very rapidly, and usually by then the river is flooded. So it's actually quite dangerous to go kayaking in those conditions. It's not advised. But I gotta tell you, like, it's very nice and fulfilling to be around the type of streams that I am most used to. You know, that have all the sediments in there. You know, where literally erosion is happening as we speak. Because you gotta figure, the Buffalo River, since it runs through the Ozarks, a lot of these rocks that we're seeing around me, You know, these were once in connection to the mountains. So it just really shows the sheer power of water and what it can do. But yeah, like a lot of these rocks that we're seeing, most of them are sandstone. But and then of course, like every now and then you'll have an oddball. You know, for instance, let's see. Like every now and then you may stumble upon marble, for instance. It can vary. It's really nice to see rocks again. I've really missed that. Because you don't really get this in Florida. But yeah. And this just really goes to show how much sediment is deposited from a river. You know, especially during a flood. So yeah, it just goes to show that there's a lot that we don't see. You know, when it's currently happening. We usually don't know until the aftermath has occurred. So that's why, as I've always stated before, you know, when it comes to water and streams, they're really my favorite type of natural feature to talk about. So it feels good. It feels really, really good to be out here. So highly recommended, by the way. And probably in a few more minutes I gotta make my way back up. Oh, 1,400 feet of elevation change. It's gonna be very interesting. Putting Mr. Journey on a journey to the test. Alright, you guys, I feel like I'm starting to ramble. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Let it be tenacious. Journey on a journeys outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.